In this video, we're talking about how to remove anything from a photo in Adobe Photoshop. I'm going to be teaching you 3 different ways you can actually remove things from your photos. People, intrusions, objects, whatever it is. We'll be going over 3 different ways you can actually remove things from your photos. And before we dive into it, before I actually show you the how and give you real examples of me doing this and walking you through this step by step in a photo where I've actually photoshopped the photo the exact same way I'm going to be showing you how to. Before we dive into actually showing you how to do that, we have to answer the question, why? Why are we removing things from our photos? Well, if we're posting these kind of photos on social media, on Instagram, or somewhere where we're trying to brand ourselves, we have to make it as curated, as professional, as aesthetically pleasing as possible to associate all those traits with the photo to us, the person actually in the photos. So our goals are to make the photo aesthetically pleasing as possible. We want to make it as cinematic as possible. We don't want to seem like a tourist. In these different locations that we're going to and taking photos of ourselves in, you're going to see a lot of people in the background. You're going to see objects or things in the photo as well that kind of imply you're a tourist. You don't really belong there. You're just visiting. The word tourist has some negative connotations associated with it, whether you like it or not. Nobody really likes the tourists. The people that are coming in, they want all the value from the place. They trash, they're loud, they're annoying. They want to experience the best experience they can have at the expense of others, etc., etc. So you don't want to be associated with a tourist. We want to get rid of intrusions in people and objects because we want photo to be as aesthetically pleasing as possible, as cinematic as possible, without taking people's attention away from the subject, which is you or the beautiful landscape, whatever it might be in the background. We want to be exuding a celebrity, cinematic kind of movie actor on your page, on your Instagram page. The way to do that is to make these photos clean. No obtrusions, no other people, no random objects in the photo, no trash, no. Now that we know the why behind why we're getting rid of these things in the first place, not just for fun, right? It's actually for a real practical reason. Let's dive into some photos where I'll show you an example step by step of actually getting rid of objects, obtrusions, to make your photos look more aesthetically pleasing. Let's actually dive into some photos. First photo here is me in Turks and Caicos. So I'm gonna do a quick little grade on this photo. So now as we can see, if we zoom in on the photo, we'll see a ton of people in the background, right? 1, 2, 3, we got people walking down here. We have this guy lounging, even looking at me right in the photo. This girl over here, this guy over here. Ton of people, right? Just everyone, it's just full of tourists. It's a hotel. As personal brand creators and curators, you want the photo to be as cinematic as possible, right? These extras, right, in this photo here aren't cinematic. You look like a tourist here, right? Because there are other tourists being tourists in the background, enjoying themselves and taking up the space in the background. So what we want to do is get rid of the people in the photo to now make us look more cinematic, right? Like a movie, like a TV show, right? If a TV show were to come in here, if they wanted to film, or a movie, what would they do? They would shut down the whole set. They would shut down the entire hotel. They would buy the hotel out for that hour or the day or the week, the weekend, whatever it is, so they have nobody else in the background, right? That's the vibe. That's the feeling you want people to experience when they see your photos. It's just so much mystery. They're just like, how they might not even realize it, but when we do get rid of these people, they're gonna feel that there's nobody in the background. How did they get the photo of nobody in the background? No obtrusions, nothing taking my focus away from the beautiful landscape, architecture, and the subject. They're just gonna feel that. They're not gonna be able to really articulate that properly. But enough talk, let's jump into it. I'm gonna go right click on this, edit in Photoshop. And we're gonna open up in Photoshop. So immediately I will duplicate the layer, put myself over here. First, what we're gonna do is we have a duplicate over here. We're gonna zoom in. The first tool to use to get rid of objects or people in photos is the clone stamp. So hit S on your keyboard or right here. See this little button right here? Clone stamp tool. So the brackets button, left bracket, right bracket, will make this clone stamp brush bigger or smaller. So we're gonna make it about this size right here. And then if you hold down on a Mac option or Alt on a PC, you get this little target thing. So what we're doing here with the clone stamp is I'm gonna take this part of the photo right here, click right there, and then I'm gonna go over him where I want it to take from, to paint essentially from a different location in the photo. So again, I'm taking this location right here, I'm clicking right here, and I wanna paint this part of the photo over him, right? And that's essentially what the clone stamp is. It's just painting from a different part of the photo over, say, an object, person. We're gonna take different locations around him to simulate what it would be like if he wasn't there ever. So very, very quickly, you can see that we can get rid of one person in less than 10 seconds. Pretty easy, right? And that'll obviously take some time to get more and more advanced with the clone stamp tool, but you'll get the hang of it very quickly. It's very easy. So I'm getting S option click where I want to take from, and then go over. Very, very simple. On lines like a contrasted line like this, I like to do right in the middle of the line. and then line it up with where it should be, where I'm painting over like that. Kind of blend the edges, kind of up here, paint down here. You don't have to go too crazy with this because again, this right here is 770% zoomed in, right? No one's going to be zooming in 771% ever, right? Back here, it looks fine. So we got that person here. Let's go to the people in the walkway here. Do blue first. You might have to just get rid of other things other than the object you want to get rid of, just to make it look symmetrical as far as the composition of the photo. And then this guy right here who's looking right at us, we're gonna get rid of him very quickly. Choose the bush up here. I'm gonna go a little bit farther down too, even though that's probably not what was behind him. If I say we're to take this photo without him there, still in the photo itself, it will look like this is not in Photoshop. Again, just gonna take different parts of the photo, cover that up. Cool. And then for this here, this can get a little tricky. I'm gonna take below him here the best you can. Again, this is 623% zoomed in right here, so no one's zooming in this closely. And another thing to take note of, no one has the before photo except you. A lot of times when people are photoshopping photos like this, they're so worried that like they're gonna get found out and people are gonna find the Photoshop. Oh my God, you are that person, I can tell because this pixel's off. No one's ever gonna do that. Even if they zoomed in on Instagram, they won't be able to tell. People don't know the level of capability that you have on these platforms. What's the old like 90s painter guy who's like, he paints in like a very soft voice and he's like, oh, just gonna put a little bush there and it'll just be a secret between me and you, right?
And we're gonna put a happy little bush right down over here in the corner there. And that'll just be our little secret. And if you tell anyone that bush is there, I will.
Same thing here. Within, what, 2 minutes, we got rid of the 5-6 people that were obtruding our photo. So now it looks like we shut down the set. And you might be saying, oh, Corey, you missed these people in the corners here, the left and right side, this girl over here. No, we didn't, because should we go back to Lightroom after we save? Go in here, crop it, and again, we're cropping for IG. So what's IG ratio? 4:5, vertical. And we're done. Cool. All right, so that's photo number 1, and that was with the clone stamp tool. Again, before, I'll show you the before here without the color grade. As you can see, all these people here, it looks like a very touristy day club. This guy's lounging, he's looking at, like, just staring. A couple here, this guy by himself. It's a very touristy photo. It's not cinematic. Even though it looks aesthetically pleasing, cool, but it has these obtrusions in the background that are not aesthetically pleasing, or at least don't align with the photo, the message, the story. After, now there's nobody in the photo. You can't even tell it's Photoshop, even though we didn't do the best job getting rid of these people. But again, nobody has the before photo, so they have nothing to contrast this photo too. Perfect. So now, congratulations, you got rid of people in your photo. Let's go to example number 2. And I'll show you another way to get rid of people when you're removing them from your photos. I'm gonna do another quick grade here. Now we have the photo, me in this chair in Los Cerritos in Mexico. Crazy resort. It looks like these like infinity pools and fountains. It's really cool. And awesome sunset in the background. But guess what? We got some people here, right? And these two are even looking at us. Great. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna get rid of them. So what I would do now, if you have a newer version of Lightroom, you can actually do it in Lightroom. I would right click on the photo, go to enhance, right? And then it will create this super resolution, which will double the image resolution. So I'm actually gonna go down to the grain, pull the grain off here and the sharpening as well, enhance that photo. So right click on it, hit enhance, super resolution. Okay, so now you can see the photo has been doubled in resolution size. This is the regular 200% zoom on the photo, and this is the doubled resolution 200% zoom in the photo. So essentially you can zoom in a lot farther than the original photo. So now we have the extra resolution to work with. Let's open it up in Photoshop, duplicate the layer like we did last time. And now, instead of using the clone stamp tool, which we easily could use, we're actually going to use a different feature called content aware fill. Now there are 2 different ways to do content aware fill. Let me show you the first one now. So what we're gonna do here, we're just gonna select these people here. Let's grab the lasso tool or hit L on the keyboard and just select them real quick. This, you can even do both at the same time. If you wanna do both at the same time, just hold the shift button down and now you can select both. And just be very, very aware of what I did here as far as selecting these 2 people. I didn't say select them like this, right? Why not do that? Because down here, all the background of here, right? This with the pillars and the water and even the ground is going to be a lot different than the content aware algorithm is going to have a very hard time replacing this part of the image where she's in front of this like the pillar, the ocean, the sunset with the ground. It's going to have a very hard time. So I'm only going to start with the ocean first, right? Work in chunks as far as grouping the different areas you want to replace. So what we're going to do here is highlight both of these. So hit Shift F5, make sure the fill content aware. hit OK, let it do its magic. Now, usually it does a pretty good job. If it doesn't, then we're gonna do a different application, which I'll show you in a second, but let's continue with this now that I did a good job. So what I would do here is that did a majority of the work as far as getting rid of their bodies, the top half of their bodies. Here, I'm not gonna use the content aware file, I'm gonna use the clone stamp because I have this very symmetrical looking pillar I have to replicate as far as what would be behind them if in a photo. So I would just start off with doing the top of the pillar like this, just getting it close enough so I can now start going lower and lower, that, and then I would grab a pillar here and go right in the, actually let's go on the corner of the pillar here, as you can see, and we're gonna match it up with the next pillar. Start that, and then we're gonna paint as if it's the same paint over that. There we go. And then if you keep clicking and unclicking and holding it down, it will reset that brush. There we go. Got another pillar. Do the same thing over here. Let's grab, let's say this pillar here, and then match the painting. Almost, we got the pillars done, and now let's just get the bottom. So let's go right in the middle here. Just paint that. Cool. And then here, get rid of the ground. Same thing with the clone stamp tool. So you can now that you have two different tools to use as far as getting rid of things, you can kind of mix it up. So when you use the clone stamp to remove things, it leaves these weird patterns, as you can see. You can kind of see here, like it leaves these patterns. Now these are believable because of the sunset coming through here, and the pillars are casting the shadow, right, which actually believable. In a lot of cases, like say if I did it with the ocean, it's not believable. It's very clear that someone manipulated it. It's not natural. So I like to use it in these bigger patterns that need to have some sort of general unity with the whole pattern to make it look believable. And then for the smaller details, use the clone stamp tool here. Cool. All right, so that's good here. Now we're gonna do the same over here, just one at a time here because she might be a little bit more difficult with the sunset right behind. Get rid of this guy. Boom, Shift F5, enter, real quick. Let's do her next. Boom, not too bad. We'll do this part right here. Cool, looking pretty good. All right, so now I don't want to grab here because the sunset might be a little bit too harsh back here. Actually, let's grab this right here. So grab this pillar, paint starting right where this going. Can always Command Z it, and then let's just do her last part here. Just grab from the left and right pillar. You just kind of want to blend those colors. You can see this is brighter over here and darker over here. Just keep in mind the different shadows. That's pretty good. And again, we're at what, 624% zoom in right here, so no one's going to be zooming in this far or even be able to see this after it's compressed on Instagram or wherever you're posting it. Just for your own sake, break up those clone stamp patterns here. I grab this pillar here, matched up with that paint. It's very tedious work, but it does pay off when you do post that photo and there's nobody in the background. This photo here, we were about to leave after we shot for about 2 hours straight. It was videos and photos we're shooting. I was barely able to even get this photo here. If I tried to wait and wait for the people to walk by, which I'm sure another couple would have came and stopped right there if the other person left, we would have been here for an extra 10, 15, 20 minutes. And that, just those 10, 15 minutes would have pissed off my client, or at least been a negative kind of hit to their psyche about shooting with us. Just doing that one thing right there leaves a big footprint with the people if you're in that kind of scenario. So getting the photo you can while you're there, because this location hours away from where we were staying, being able to get this photo while we're here regardless of the people in the background is imperative. So now that we did all that with the clone stamp, we kind of cleaned it up a little bit. It's looking great, as if there was no one here in the first place. So let's do a before and after real quick. So this is before with the people right here, and then here's after. So it looks like there weren't even there in the photo. And you can go one step farther too, because I don't know about you, but I don't like these public pool railings. Just don't like it, right? It just gives off this public pool touristy kind of vibe to it, right? So while we're here, why not? Let's get the lasso tool and then select the rail. Let's try to go the whole way. See what it does. Usually I would just do different sections that kind of match, like with this part first, this part second, this part third, this fifth. But now let's just try it all at once. That's pretty good. Wow. All right, so now, and to clean it up, go here, fix that a bit, and here, breaking up those patterns apart. Cool, awesome. I'm pretty meticulous. I do spend hours sometimes on photos, but once you learn these skills, it's like, why not? Because this one little thing right here, it does kind of take away from the photo. Like, watch, this is before. It's like a drain or something for the pool or the light or something. It takes away like 1% from the photo, right? Maybe 3% from the photo as far as the aesthetics to it, the cinematic, how it looks, right? If it was a movie, there wouldn't be that thing there. They would fix it. They would get it out in post, right? It's insane what they do in post-production as far as special effects, just removing things from the shot, right? Especially with CGI or green screen shot. The amount of time in post tracking and getting rid of objects for movies, it's unbelievable. It's crazy. So doing a little bit of extra work in photos, it's not the end of the world, right? So let's get rid of that. Cool. All right, so I would say that's a pretty good photo to post right there. Again, one more time, before with the storm drain here, the light, railing, and the people, and then after, they're all gone. Back to Lightroom. Here it is. Put a little bit of grain on it. Yeah, sharp. Boom. Done. All right, so last photo here. We're going to go to this one here. Okay, I've already enhanced this photo as far as the super enhance, so I'm not going to run through that. But this is already a color graded photo. Now let's pull it up in Photoshop. I'll show you the third way now to remove objects in Photoshop. So we're in Photoshop again. We're going to duplicate the layer. We're going to zoom in a bit. Now, what I want to get rid of in this photo here, so you see me on the boat here. You see the Burj Al Arab in the background, and you see this guy right here who's hanging off the back. This guy right here who's the driver, right? So the goal of this photo is to just show me on the boat by myself, right? As if the captain or whoever's driving the boat is in there or not even visible, right? Because as a movie, on a movie set, you wouldn't have just random extras hanging off the back of the boat or just random people in the scene when you're trying to show off a cinematic shot, right? It would just be the person. The movie sets shut down blocks of cities. They shut down venues. They shut down the airspace, whatever it is, for the movie, for the shot, for the clip. So you want to be simulating or emulating that kind of dynamic where you're shutting it. There's nobody in the background. They seemingly shut down this like part of the ocean, right? The Coast Guard, just to get your photo because you are the celebrity, the actor. You're essentially living in a movie wherever you go with every photo. So let's kind of sell that effect more. So what I'm gonna do here, same thing before. I'm gonna select this person with the lasso tool as best I can. I'm not gonna go over the buoy, just the person where it's over the background, right? So now the third way to remove somebody. So after I selected them right here, we go to edit. I'm gonna go to content aware fill. So what this will do is pull up this fancy window, and you'll immediately see green, and you'll see two different windows. So now on the left side is the photo, the original photo. Photoshop has already gone and selected the green, which is the area that it thinks you want to take from to then replace onto that selection that you made. So Photoshop did a pretty good job as far as the ocean on the right side of here, but it really just did a square. But as you can see on the right side, this is the after of what it did right before and after. So what we want to do here is just give Photoshop a little bit of a better idea of what we're trying to take from to replace onto that selection. So with this little tool, the brush tool you immediately have in the top left here, if you click on the green, it will remove whatever the green was selected on. So what we're gonna do is remove all of the green that was on objects that we don't want to be taking from to then replace onto the selection. So we just want to take the ocean water with the sun on it and replace it over him. That's all I want to take. So this is really good as far as what it did. As you can see, pretty good, clean. And as far as the rest of it, with the smaller detailed things, again, I'm going to take clone stamp over it to get the little nitty gritty and just reshape what that buoy would have looked like, at least to a general sense, if he wasn't there. And then to go in here, even with this pole missing, no one's gonna notice it, again, because we're zoomed in 97%. If you really wanted to go crazy with it, select like this part of the pole. So let's grab the pen tool. I'm not gonna go over the pen tool in this video, but what you could do, select the pen tool, duplicate it on top, rotate it, shrink it down to what it should be, size it should be if it was in the photo, blur it a little bit. And I would just remove just the top of it, maybe just a little bit of a fade on the side, bottom, and good. Nobody over here now. That's his shadow in this, but we're not gonna worry about that. But now we're gonna go to this guy. Why don't we select the whole thing, see what it does. This content aware is pretty good. So select this whole body here before we hit edit and go to content aware fill, because we did some adjustments over here as far as a new layer, and we got rid of this pipe layer, the railing layer, right? So you can't do content aware fill on a blank layer or a layer that isn't this original part of the photo, right? So what we want to do is we could either just select the main layer here, right? Or what you could do is click on the top layer, hit Shift, Option, Command E, and what that will do will stamp all of the visible layers and make its own layer. So as you can see, layer 3 up here, that's a very simple way to stamp layers, not merge layers, stamp layers. It is different. So now that it's stamped, it's already selected, go to Edit, and then Content Aware Fill. We'll open up this window here, and already did a pretty good job as far as replacing him. It's a really tough spot here. So I'm just gonna get rid of the bottom parts of this boat that I do not want Photoshop to take to replace over him. And this bar here, parts, cool. That's pretty good right there. See on the left, before, right after, you can see this bar is like cut off. Remove a little bit more of the top, or this over here. Let's actually add in some of these greens. To add in green, hold Option down or Alt down, and it will switch the minus brush to a plus brush where you actually can paint what you want. Let's remove all of here. So now you can see it has built back that kind of ledge behind him, the white ledge, and also the ocean behind him. So it said okay on that. So pretty good. Not a bad job as far as the complexity of that content aware fill. So let's see, before, after, pretty good. And again, this is 380% zoomed in, so not too zoomed in, but still, that right there by itself would be fine. That's passable, right? But let's go the extra mile. So let's zoom in here. Let's grab our lucky clone stamp tool and just that a bit. Let's keep this pattern. See what's like it's going up a bit. And I'll grab the left side. And then as far as the ocean with this railing, I would just get rid of this railing entirely because it's not going to be worth it to try to make a new one coming down. A lot of times with like very complex objects, you kind of ruin, you have to like build back. It's easier to just get rid of it entirely. All right, so that's pretty good there. Maybe just this little railing. Yeah. And that you literally can't tell that there was somebody there before. We got rid of this guy here, get rid of this guy here. Next thing would be, why don't we get rid of this while we can? So I'm gonna lasso this, and again, edit content aware fill. So make sure you select that base layer, highlight the object you want to replace, edit content aware fill. Pretty good job already. So content aware fill, it will create a new layer, and I do recommend doing that, but you also have the option on the right side here. If you see, you'll see output settings to new layer, current layer, or duplicate layer. So I usually do new layer, just so you have the ability to turn it on and off. If you want to go back, it's pretty good. I might just even go down here and get rid of this rust stain because it does look a little bit off-putting here. This isn't the nicest boat, but still. And I'm a little crazy, so I like to go a little bit too far, but I would even get rid of this number here just so they can't identify the boat, whose it is, why you're on it, where it is, etc., etc. Just kind of covering your track as far as possibly incriminating evidence. Not illegal, obviously, but like incriminating in any sense of the word. And we're going to get rid of this too as well, whatever this name is here. It doesn't add anything to the photo, so we're taking it away. I would just go through very, very quickly and just see if there's anything else that I can see that is obtrusive that I don't want in the photo. I sometimes get rid of boats way in the background, but in this case, sorry at all. So now we're going to do before and after. So this before, and as you can see, there are two people. We got rid of this guy here, the rust stain down here, the numbers on the side and the letters here, two little holes. So pretty big difference as far as the photos feel, the dynamic, the aesthetic to it, the cinematic feel to it. So before, it's a cool photo because it's graded, the drone shot, it's cool, it's got the boat, it's got the Burj Al Arab in the background, very trendy place to be right now. But there are other people there. There's a guy hanging off the bat, there's another guy on top of it. Who are they, right? Who are they? How are they adding to this photo? If they're not, they shouldn't be there. It's an obtrusion to the photo. I'm not saying anything about them personally, but as far as the story goes, right? Say this is a movie, a cinematic movie. If they're filming a shot of this boat with this, say a guy, the main character on the front of it, you don't want anybody in the background. You don't want extras or random people hanging off the boat in the background. It doesn't add anything to the story. In fact, it takes away. So again, we're trying to make ourselves seem as cinematic as possible, make the photo as aesthetically pleasing as possible, and also make us not seem like tourists. That's very important to not be displaying any low status traits, any traits that any connotations to being a tourist. Like I said before, where you take up a lot of value, take up a lot of space. Tourists are usually annoying. They complain a lot. They want a lot out of the situation without giving anything in return, right? So not a lot of good connotations with that, but now that we got rid of them, way better. The dynamic is way better. It's more aesthetically pleasing. There's nothing taking away from the photo. The subjects are only adding to the photo. The boat, me, and the Burj Al Arab. So now we go back to the photo in Lightroom. It already has a little bit of grain on it, but just add a little bit more. Always love the vignette just to sharpen it a little bit. Always turn that masking up, and then a little bit of noise reduction. All right, so that was it. Those are the 3 different ways to remove people or objects from your photos in Photoshop. Now, as you can see, this is just the beginning as far as what you have the capability to do. Not many people, unless you're very well versed and unless you're watching this video, even understand that this is possible. It's pretty mind-blowing. If you show somebody you doing this to a photo, their mind will literally be blown, and they won't be able to trust photos online anymore if they even did previously. This should be the #1 thing you learn in Photoshop when you're learning these programs, because this is an actual, real, practical way to change your photos and make you more high status. A lot of other tutorials or traits or things that people teach on YouTube, it's neat, it's fun, like there's a cool effect, a neat transition, or a neat thing to do in Photoshop, but it's not practical. You would never actually do it in real life. You would never actually do it to a photo that you would later post on IG, right? I want to give you the real, tangible things that actually matter, that actually, if you do get good at this, you'll level up your photos. There's an actual rhyme and reason of why we're doing this thing in the first place, not because it's just fun to learn, right? It also is fun, but it really has an actual practical use to make you more high status, to make the photo seem more aesthetically pleasing, cinematic, and most of all, to make you not seem like a tourist. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We went over a lot here. These are some of my favorite ways to get rid of objects in Photoshop. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you enjoyed. If you want more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button too while you're there, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.